and the Yuchi people of Oklahoma. I want to thank my sisters for standing up here with us to remind everyone here that we are all occupying indigenous lands and that we are still here. The people, the original people of these lands, we still are here. And what we do culturally, traditionally, spiritually isn't just for us, but it's for everyone. It's for the well-being of the world. And so those that are new to the state, I hope that you all take some time to familiarize yourself with all of the pueblos and tribes that occupy the Southwest, because we're still here and we're holding it down. I've been very blessed for the past 8 years to be a part of an organization called Pueblo Action Alliance, and we're a grassroots Pueblo women-led organization that has been teaching ourselves and our communities around the principles of climate justice and environmental justice, and bringing in the intersections of what Indigenous community defense and Pueblo youth leadership looks like. We've been organizing to protect sacred sites and sacred places like the Greater Chaco landscape that has been attacked by the presence of oil and gas, as well as the Caja del Rio landscape, which has been also impacted by the Los Alamos National Laboratory. These landscapes are ancestral living landscapes that hold many significant sacred sites and places that we still utilize till this day. We have to be that voice to protect our plant and animal relatives as well, because we all know that biodiversity and the protection of biodiversity is in fact a real climate solution. And Indigenous peoples across the world have been leading this fight by protecting the land that we do not own, but that we are a part of.
Say that.
And so when the presence of oil and gas or any type of extraction, we view that as violence on the land that is violence onto us. And so it is our right and responsibility to stand in the way of that harm, because we are thinking 7 generations down the line. The decisions that we make today are going to affect 7 generations from now. And I carry that message very closely, because the land that you all are standing on today was in fact fought over. In the winter of 1540 and 41, my ancestors fought against Spanish conquest. Again, fought in 1680 during the Pueblo Revolt. And because of that resistance, we still have our lands today. We still have our culture. And I know, and I feel very deeply that many of us are feeling a sense of uncertainty because of this new administration, because of the attacks that we have been feeling on our freedoms of speech or our freedom of identity or what we do with our bodies. But what I want to bring to this space today is urging our community that we cannot alter into the ways in which big government tries to divide us.
Just as long as we get Deb Holland.
Okay, gotcha. Do you want to
But what
hold
we
it?
can do,
Do you want to hold it? You can hold the live. Okay. It's alive, and then I'll download it and I'll email it to her. Okay. Once it's done.
to build the types of communities that we want to be a part of. And here in New Mexico, we have incredible examples of communities that have already been doing that. The indigenous people and traditional land-based communities of New Mexico have been thriving because of value systems that help guide and govern them on decision-making processes. And values that also guide us to help steward lands for future generations to come. Because under this value system, we have been taught that the natural world is our relative, that she is our mother, and no one can strip that identity from her. And so we must continue to honor our women. And we can do that by also centering the leadership of Indigenous women who have carried these deep values generationally and have brought that same type of thinking into their advocacy. And most importantly, carry this deep unconditional love for their communities, for the land, for the water, for the air. Everything we must do has to be rooted in that deep unconditional love. So we must continue to fight because of that love. And our mother will reciprocate that same love for us as she has done since time immemorial. And we can be that force. And we can win. And we will be able to liberate ourselves. Thank you. Thank you so much to Julia.
No.
Someone I look up to.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! They can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Three members of a wonderful group of radical brownies.
Woo!
Rebecca, Rosie, and Adelita.
Woo!
We don't usually hear pain. We see truth. We know justice. We know love. We fight Mother Earth. We are entangled in this of extractive greed that exists. We are entangled in extractive greed that invests with cunning, cutthroat, brutal capitalism. And if you ain't got the the basic safety net is for you to protect how vast and merciful.
Getting some new batteries.
We're getting some new batteries. Sorry, y'all.
We have the radical brownies. You caught that, right? We are entangled in a system of extractive greed that invests with killer, cunning, cutthroat competition and cannibalism. I mean, brutal capitalism. And if you ain't got the killer capitalism, then maybe the safety net is for you to crochet or live in the streets. How vast and merciless is the nature of power, asks Baldwin. Ruthless power, sanctification of power, unmitigated arrogance with power. We will scour this soul for morality, and we will not bend a knee. From fear we are free. How does capitalism so quickly destroy what took billions of years to achieve and evolve, asks Alexis Pauline Gums. Yes, how did we get tangled in this net with broken animals and plants that no longer exist? We will resist. How did we get tangled, strangled? How do we get unmangled? Shake the mighty memory in our bones. Shake the mighty memory in our bones, a time when we were all stewards of nuestra madre tierra. Tenemos que gritar a nuestros antepasados, ayúdanos. We must scream for our ancestors, untangle, unstrangle, decipher, decode, untie, remember, and recreate the trenzas, the braids of our natural connections, the complexity of this constellation, the community of this constellation. No silos, no bombs, borders, repo rights, climate, nuclear guns, housing, health, immigration, gender, education, land, war. No silos, just braids, no raids, just braids of necessity and harmony. Los trenzas de buen vivir. Shake the mighty memory in the blood, in our blood, when for centuries we crossed borders, trading values, lives, and love, and we will continue. Tenemos que gritar a nuestros antepasados. We must scream for our ancestors and read all the banned books. Untangle, unstrangle, decipher, decode, untie, remember the trenzas, the braids of our natural connections, the complexity of our constellation, no need for exploitation, the braids of our natural connections, the complexity of this constellation is perfect. We will scour that power, we will scour that soul for morality, and we will not bend a knee. From fear we are free. Respect existence or expect resistance. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Beba and the Radical Brownies. Woo! And thank you all for being flexible and patient with us as we figure out our mic situation. It's a small reminder of when problems happen, we get creative, we keep it going. And on that note, our next speaker is New Mexico State Senator Antoinette Cedillo Lopez.
Woo! Thank you. And thank you so much for being here. I needed this probably more than you because we are starting our session, our legislative session, in 2 days. And basically what is so important to me right now is to protect New Mexico from the excesses of the Trump administration. I got involved in politics after Trump was selected last time by the Electoral College. And I got involved because of marches like this, and because I felt it was time to step up. And I think it is time again to step up. So I invite you, don't be silent as we watch the Trump excesses nationally and as we try to protect our communities here from what he intends to do. I saw a sign that talked about Project 2025. Do you remember what he said about Project 2025? He said, I never even read it. Have you seen who he's appointed? Have you seen what he's doing? We must resist. We must step up. Are you all going to step up? Woo! And what are you going to do? You're going to resist. 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 So thank you so much for coming here. We have to protect this really precious, precious, beautiful, but environmentally fragile state. And let's be real. What drill baby drill means is make money and hell, just hell with the environment. We cannot let that happen in our state. We must protect our immigrants from the tyranny of ICE. We can't go back on women's rights. We must protect our LGBTQI, our trans brothers, sisters, children. We must protect them. We must ensure peace throughout the world, and we must protect Palestine. So thank you so much for coming, and we will stand together. We will stand together.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, up next, we're going to keep this program moving. We have Karina Solares with Faith Roots Reproductive Action.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karina Solares, and I am the Director of Development and Community Engagement for Faith Roots Reproductive Action, and I am honored to stand here with you today. Faith Roots Reproductive Action is a nonprofit reproductive justice advocacy organization. We advocate for bodily autonomy by shifting religious and spiritual narratives, engaging in collaborative partnerships, and pro-abortion policies at the local and state level. We also have our own abortion fund. Yes. We also have our own abortion fund that assists patients traveling to New Mexico for abortion care with transportation, lodging, meals, and practical support. We envision New Mexico where we recognize, affirm, and honor every person's power to fiercely defend their bodily autonomy and access to reproductive health care, including abortion. We demand access to the full spectrum of reproductive health care for all persons. New Mexico has become a beacon of hope for reproductive freedom. As other states have restricted access to abortion care, forcing people to travel long distances, we have stepped up as an organization and a state that says we will not turn our backs on you. We welcome those who need our help by providing compassion and high quality care because it's the right thing to do. New Mexico has become a go-to state for abortion seekers, and that is something we should be proud of. We are providing a lifeline for people from all over the country who are being denied access in their own states. But make no mistake, this is not just a privilege. It is a responsibility. It is a responsibility that we as New Mexicans must continue to uphold. But friends, we cannot do this alone. The need is great and our resources are limited. We remain committed to this vital work, but we cannot do it with your support, your advocacy, your time, and yes, your financial contributions. Every dollar, every hour, every voice helps ensure that we can continue to be a safe haven for those seeking reproductive care. Now, let me be clear. This presidency will not stop our work, no matter who sits in that White House. No matter matter what political battles lie ahead, we will continue to stand strong for reproductive justice. As we've seen across the country, access to abortion is being chipped away, one law and one court ruling at a time. We must protect our state from the same fate, and we must be vigilant in defending our rights here in New Mexico. And we must continue to push for policies that expand, not restrict, access to reproductive health care. So today, I am asking you to join me in this fight. Speak out, volunteer, donate, do whatever you can to support our work at Faith Roots, support the clinics, the providers, and our callers who need our help. We are stronger when we stand together, and together we can ensure that New Mexico remains a place where people are treated with dignity, where their choices are respected, and where their rights are protected. Let's continue this work, not just today, but every day. Together, we will protect reproductive justice, and together, we will build a future where everyone has the right to control their own destiny. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina. Okay, up next, I have the pleasure of introducing New Mexico State Senator Harold Pope Jr. Thank you, Senator.
How's everyone doing this afternoon? I know it's cold, but I appreciate you being here. It's really an honor to speak at a women's march and just show really that trust that you've shown me to even be up here today. So I'm just honored. And it's the People's March as well. We talked about that. We also talked about the fact that I had to address an issue, and Councilor Rogers talked about it. You know, black women have been at the forefront of social and political movements. Yet their contributions are often overlooked or even undervalued. This election outcome amplified these feelings of marginalization. In order to address this, we must be willing to listen, to acknowledge and commit to change, and really be willing to engage in true allyship. Allyship that challenges systemic racism and sexism that still permeates in our nation, and in some cases, it's even gotten worse. We have to be able to face that. So what I ask is, let's really listen. Let's look around today. There really isn't a lot of black women here. And you all need to understand how they're feeling about what happened. And so if you could do me a favor, and can I get really a round of applause for the 92% who followed the assignment in the election? Can we at least do that? Because I at least had to say that while I was up here, okay? So today, as we stand at the precipice of another Trump presidency, never thought we'd be here. You know, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by the challenges ahead. The threats to our democracy, to marginalized communities, and to the very ideals of equality and justice. But let me be clear to everyone here, and anyone who records this, I want to be clear. No one is coming to save us. That's right. No singular leader, no magical policy, no external force will swoop in to rescue us. You know, I've been reading a book that's really inspired me. It's by Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr. He's always on MSNBC and CNN. And it's called We Are the Leaders We Have Been Looking For. And in this book, he talks about these answers and the leadership. It lies within us, within our collective courage, our commitment, in our action. You know, leadership is not a position reserved for a select few. It's not about titles or grand gestures. It's not even about fancy suits that I wear, okay? I want to be clear with that. Leadership resides in the hearts and minds of ordinary people who dare to dream of a better world and who are willing to fight for it. Leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Fannie Lou Hamer, Angela Davis, Fred Hampton, just to name a few. They showed us the way. They faced immense challenges and yet pressed on, embodying the principle that leadership is about service, sacrifice, and an unyielding commitment to justice. So I ask you today, and please play along if it's okay. Will you step into your power? Will you do that? You know, there's people standing around you right now. If there's someone near you, if you feel comfortable, why don't you grab their hand? If you could do that for me. So will you join hands with others to build a movement that cannot be ignored? Are you willing to do that? Will you fight for a future where justice, equality, and dignity are not just ideals, but realities? You know, the road ahead, it's not going to be easy. But as Dr. King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Yet, it doesn't bend on its own. It bends because of us. Because of our hands, because of our voices, and because of our unwavering commitment to do what is right. I just want to end and say, we are the leaders we've been waiting for. Right? And together we will meet this moment. Thank you, and be safe out there.
Okay, up next, thank you so much, Senator. We have community organizer who focuses on immigration with El Centro de Igualdad y Derechos. Her name is Fabiola Landeros. Give her a round of applause.
Hello everybody, good evening. My name is Fabiola Landeros. I'm a community organizer with El Centro de Igualdad y Derechos. El Centro de Igualdad y Derechos is a human rights and workers' justice organization, and I'm here to cover 1,500 members, the majority of whom are low-wage immigrant workers and families. I'm also a proud immigrant woman, mother of 3 children, part of the LGBTQ community. And I'm a U.S. citizen. We are proud of the depth, economic, cultural, and civic contributions of immigrants in Mexico. 1 in every 8 workers, approximately 13% of the state workforce, is an immigrant. It constitutes a vital part of the state labor force across industries such as hospitality, construction, agriculture, oil and gas, and home health care. We're also proud that immigrant leaders in New Mexico have been at the forefront of campaigns from raising the minimum wage to taking lead to democracy reform. To immigrant-friendly policies, advocating taxes is first immigrant policy in 2000. Recognizing that alternative policies are adjusted to promoting public safety, economic development, extending constitutional rights like the presumption of innocence, allowing due process, and encourage racial profiling. These are
That's why I got this up.
Yes, they have been aggressively and not viewed and will continue to get them to target and criminalize our communities for political gain. Today, for instance, Muslims, refugees, people of color, LGBTQ plus workers, women, and allied communities are coming together to say that we will fight against the hate, the racism that will come with this presidential administration. parenting campaign threats into reality. With his election, Trump has nominated some of the most extreme anti-immigrant individuals to lead his administration and control his deportation and enforcement program. He has threatened to block refugees from certain countries, promises to the formulas of immigrants, and to reinstate some of former Muslim bans, and attack of refugees and immigrants. Attack of refugees and immigrants is an attack on all of us. It is not done economic policy designed by the great essential workers who are the backbone of New Mexico's economy and the nation. We cannot let this happen. No one has allow Trump to tear down what we have built over decades of organizing in New Mexico. We are the center who use all the tools at our disposal to fight. We will organize to train and have local and state policies at the legislative administration that protect immigrant refugees and workers. We will continue organizing, growing power with our community. Our movement will fight against constitutional violations in the court. And we will fight to stop the deportation machine and take that agenda. We are proud to be New Mexicans. We women, immigrants, local workers, and communities of all over the New Mexico. We are mothers, taxpayers, neighbors, workers who clean your homes, take care of your parents and children, and work in oil, fields, and dairy. We are New Mexico. We also have grown the economy of the nation. We are proud of New Mexico's history of struggle and resistance. We will continue building the for legacy of life for love that is.
I can't hold this too much longer. My hands are going to drop it. They're frozen.
Take this close up. At the federal and state and local levels, we do everything that we can to protect our community. We value the followers of social media and social. Prevent how you can participate in the upcoming weeks, months, and years to fight for justice in our community. ¡Que viva Nuevo México!
¡Que viva!
El éxito continúa.
¡Se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Se puede! ¡Se puede! ¡Se puede!
Gracias, Mayola. Thank you, Mayola. Thank you all. Okay, up next.
You're good. You're good.
All right. This next song is called This Is How We Show Our Love. And Dr. Cornel West said that justice is what love looks like in public. And when we express our solidarity on behalf of communities who are marginalized, who are attacked under a Trump administration, that's an expression of love. And that's what this song is about. Decided to split the atom, and ever since we've been tasked to put it back together again. Balance disrupted must be restored. By piece, floor by floor. Beauty walks in many forms. She moves slow, her hands are warm. There will be more speakers after this song. There will be more speakers after this song. This is how we show our love when we say no more poison. say no more separating families. This is how we show our love. We stand and we march together. This is how we show our love. Balance disrupted must be restored, piece by piece, floor by floor.
She's gonna speak next.
Clap with us if you
I
can.
think people are leaving because they get too much football. Yeah.
When the clouds cast shadows in the land, this is how they show their love. When the grandmothers link their arms, this is how they show their love. We say no more wars, no more weapons. This is how we show our love. We say no more separating families. This is how we show our love. Thank you.
Thank you for figuring it out, but we have some really amazing and powerful speakers. Next, I want to introduce someone that is very familiar to the nation, right now to New Mexico. But she's a daughter of New Mexico, a good community leader, and a friend, a dear friend at that. She comes to us from the Pueblo, Laguna Pueblo, with the spirit and the love she's given us comes loud and clear, indigenous loud and clear. I call her a friend because I know that our moral principles match.
You can get past that.
Can you hear me?
No. It's a little muffled.
Raise your hand if you can hear me.
Everybody hurts but that lady.
Now you know what? I want to introduce to you the Honorable Deb Holmes. Do you want me to use this mic or the other one? But I do have one demand of Deb Holland. How many of you want to see Deb Holland run for governor? The first indigenous woman in the governor's office. The people governor.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah!
Thank you, Samia. I'm so grateful to be here, my dear friend. I am so happy to be back in New Mexico. Thank you, Samia, for that introduction, but most of all, thank you for being a beacon of light in our community. And I'm going to thank Hakeem Bellamy ahead of time. His poetry has moved me for many years, and it reflects the artistic talent we have right here in our beautiful state. It feels so good to be in community with all of you today. Thank you to the New Mexico Women's March and all the speakers for putting together an amazing program, and to all of you for standing together. It's standing together. New Mexico has a lot to be proud of. Bear with me. I want to stay on time, y'all. A record 60 women will head to the Roundhouse this week to represent their communities in the legislature. Over the past few years, our state has stood up for reproductive freedom and significantly expanded Medicaid coverage for postpartum care. We've moved our state forward on clean energy and supported our public school teachers. But there is so much more to do. We need to fight for people and for our families. Single moms working 12-hour shifts and still racing home to make dinner. Rural New Mexicans, the backbone of our deep agricultural roots. Working people who do the hard work and just keep getting passed over for that next raise. New Mexicans come from people who weather every storm with grit and determination. Through every struggle, their strength, resilience, and unwavering spirit have been my guiding light. Like all of you, I learned how to stand for what's right and work hard. I learned that from my mom, from my dad, from my grandparents. Now I'll address the elephant in the room. We are at an uncertain moment. With the re-election of President Trump, there is a lot at stake. Tomorrow, he'll be inside, not outside like us, taking the oath of office, surrounding himself with super rich people who look down on us and our communities. In his first term, he helped dismantle equal pay and removed overtime pay and minimum wage for millions of workers. All the while giving big tax breaks to his millionaire and billionaire friends. So let me be clear. Our fight is not over. We will need to do the hard work of getting important things done and pushing back against an administration who couldn't care less about regular people, about people like us. We will need to unapologetically stand up to make change, to ensure that your voices are heard. We need more people with real lived experiences elected to office and serving our communities as doctors, scientists, CEOs, so that solutions reflect who we are. We're going to fight to remind the people in power that they answer to us.
Yes!
New Mexico has no shortage of organizations that are willing to help you start. We need everyone to make the leap and get involved. Growing up in my mother's Pueblo household, decorated who looked like me. I was proud to be one of the first Native American women elected to Congress. Thank you. I was only able to do it with the support of working people. But now the door is open. I intend to lead the ladder down and lift others up on my shoulders. I want people who care about a better future to run for office. And I'll be there to make sure that they do. Again, thank you all so much for being here today. I can't wait to see what we can all accomplish together. Dawa'eh.
Thank you!
One more round of applause. Que viva Deb Haaland!
Que viva!
Okay, up next we have author and poet Hakeem Bellamy.
Hold on. No, I didn't get a picture. I only got you on video. Is that okay? Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Deb. Say that louder, y'all. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Deb. I'm never where I'm supposed to be, first of all. That's a routine Hakeem problem. And I tell you what, it's way easier going before Deb Haaland than after Deb Haaland, I'll tell you that much. But I'm so proud of Deb and thankful and grateful for her service and her friendship. Thankful to you guys, because yeah, it's cold today, but apparently it's going to be colder tomorrow. Who said Mother Nature doesn't have a sense of humor? Really? really in DC it's going to be bleeping cold, and that is amazing, actually. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the amazing leadership, Divana and Samia, who organized this march, everyone else who supported them in organizing this march. We need more women leadership in this world. As you can see by some of the speakers that were on this stage and on this microphone today, apparently some people in this country just weren't ready. Thank you for the medicine makers, for us having our altar and our sage. And thank you for being here, for me, for each other. And here's the poem that I wrote for you today. Brand new. It's called The People versus Patriarchy. AKA, I love 'em, baby. After Lauryn Hill and Michelle Obama. Somebody forgot to ask that man what he is so afraid of. Forgot to ask him why so fearful of being found out. Ever since man first found himself forever green with envy of her power to procreate while all he do is play God. While she's always been Genesis on a budget, somebody forgot to tell him that we know that it is no coincidence that every banned book is bleeding. That her choice not to exercise her power of procreation really gets him hot under the collar time and time again. Somebody forgot to tell him that we know that he would reproduce himself with himself if he could. But why him so alone? So isolated in his manhood of unrequited self-love that he would wage warfare across chromosomes to ensure that her ability to make miracles will never outmagic his money. Like some kind of fundamentalist fur trapper, he hell-bent on cultivating a kind of commerce that reduces women to chattel or livestock or property or something to be stockpiled and devoured. Somebody forgot to tell him that we are more than just wombs, more than just bombs, boobs, and tombs, that we always gonna be yacht rock to his billionaire boys club. Somebody forgot to tell him that he is not protecting us unless he is protecting us from himself. Who is going to tell him that witches still exist? Who is going to remind him that we will always be the 99%? Who is going to tell him that these pronouns can adverb with the quickness that all my sisters and all our utopian tubes are off limits? Who gonna tell him that resistance is one of those little black jobs? One of those red, white, blue, yellow, brown, pink jobs. One of those green jobs, evergreen jobs. One of those clean jobs. One of those cleaning jobs. One of those F around and find out what we mean jobs. Who gonna tell him that there is no amount of patriarchy that can repatriate femininity, that birthright critical gender theory, that there is no amount of macho bullshit that can Mount Rushmore Lady Liberty? Who is going to tell him why woman is an evolutionary technology that she can't even spend $1 without having it become a multiplier effect within the economy? Who is going to tell him to keep his grimy little policies off of our bodies? Somebody, anybody, everybody. Somebody forgot to tell him that being good at war does not impress us. That we know there is a difference between being good at money and being evolutionarily gifted at keeping wealth away from us. Somebody forgot to tell him that the jig is up, that the proverbial Oz behind the curtain was always going to be a very, very small man. So much for great and powerful, hiding in plain sight. Somebody forgot to tell him that we are still outside, still conjuring futures that he cannot possibly fathom, still making love from scratch. Somebody ought to tell him that he has nothing to be afraid of, that the time for her to lead has come, and if it makes him feel better, she even has a policy on forgiveness. It goes like that Lauryn Hill song that she sung, "If I ruled the world, I'd free all my sons."
struggling for the rights of working class peoples. She's a personal hero of mine. New Mexico State Representative Eleanor Chavez.
Woo! Way to go,
Thank you all.
Eleanor!
I bring you greetings of solidarity. I also want to think about, and I know that other speakers have mentioned Palestine today, but also think about them on a day that's a ceasefire, the beginning of the ceasefire, and we know that this is not the end. This is only the beginning of rebuilding Palestine and rebuilding every single thing that this country, with our tax dollars, destroyed. I want to talk free Palestine, yes. You know, I was as people were talking, I was thinking about Martin Luther King, and you know, he really stood up against the Vietnam War. You know, for those of us that can remember that far back, and people tried to silence him. And I think about that a lot because that's what's happening in this country now. People are trying to silence us when we talk especially about Palestine, when we talk about the genocide there. But they're also trying to silence us when we talk about things like worker rights, when we talk about health care for all, when we talk about immigrant rights. People are trying to silence us, and we need to continue to stand up and fight back when we're under attack. During the last legislative session, I had the honor of being part of a group of legislators who signed on to a letter to our congressional delegation, to the president, asking that our tax dollars not go for bombs to Israel, that we're going to kill our sisters and brothers there. And I think that one of the things that we need to continue to do is we need to continue to put that pressure on our congressional delegation, right? Because there's a direct connection between what we do in this country and what happens in other countries, and how the needs of our folks here in this country go unmet. As a legislator, I'm able to really see sort of a global perspective of what's happening in housing. Why don't we have housing for everybody here? Why can't we provide health care for everybody here? Why isn't our education at the graduate level also free here in New Mexico? Because we're spending money to send bombs to Israel, to bomb Palestine, and to bomb every other country that we have a disagreement with. And the military-industrial complex needs to stop. And it starts with us. It starts with every single one of us giving that message, not only to your legislators, helping them make the connection between our tax dollars and what happens at the local, national, and international level, but we need to basically get them to think about and to act on sending the tax dollars back this way, right? Because that's how we're going to make New Mexico a state that we can really be proud of, a state where we don't have homelessness, and a state which something is really near and dear to me in terms of health care, a state where everybody gets health care. And we don't have this thing about, well, what's your name? Celinda Guerrero with Albuquerque Mutual Aid and Millions for Prisoners.
Hello, hello, beautiful people. I'm so happy to see you all here today. It really is an honor to be here and be able to speak in this space. I carefully considered what would be important to bring to this space today. My offerings come from a prompt, something I recently wrote. I was asked, as an elder of the movement, what wisdom do you have to offer in this moment? First I thought, am I an elder now? Then after letting that sit for a moment, I thought, I am uncertain that I am wise and full of wisdom, but for I still feel very uncertain, often as many of us do. Then I realized I do have some insights that could maybe be useful for right now. And so, here are my offerings. In critical moments of reckoning, I realize the very most important grounding necessary is that we remember the lessons of the warriors, survivors, the mothers, and the grandmothers. These lessons that are etched deep down at our cellular levels of our bodies, spirit, and minds. They know that we are made from the same thing of that of stars. For we are magnificent beings, and we understand that we are deeply connected to all that is life in this universe. I urge during turbulent times to take a moment to literally just stop. Breathe deep, deep down into your belly, so deep that you feel it in your toes. Yes, do it now. Right now, as you find yourself here, feel your spine expanding with the breath of life in your body. Stay there for as long as you need. Then practice your medicine. Meditate. Be in community like spaces here. Palo Santo, smudging stone shells, spikenard, lavender, and on and on and on, remembering clearly that Mother Earth provides everything that we need to heal and to persist. Practice putting your hands in the dirt. Massage it gently and feel the power of our Mother. Remembering that when things feel too heavy, you can give it back to Mother Earth to hold for you, and then you can pick it back up when it's time. We must pace ourselves and remember that our ancestors and generations before us have persevered and resisted so that we could be here together right now. And that is the strength that is holding us. An Indigenous elder shared a lesson with me. The pendulum swings wide from unjust to justice. Our sole purpose is to continue our work because everything balances. The ancestors protect us in our justice and liberation work, and we need not fear because everything balances. As I remember this lesson, I remind myself that every act towards liberation is working to free us all. Every meeting, every new community connection, say hello to the people you don't know in this space here today. Every act of mutual aid, every direct action, literally every act of kindness and resistance every single day by every single one of us creates a mighty ripple in a struggling society. And as empire leans into fascism and late-stage capitalism, we also understand that all empires crumble. We understand that capitalism is cannibalistic and it will consume everything until it consumes itself. We ground in the notion that this is not an empire that is worth saving because it began with a legacy of genocidal imperialism, and its capital was built with the stolen bodies of the enslaved. It must be dismantled. That is how we will provide an opportunity for a new society that honors life and our responsibility to Mother Earth. Our responsibility to protect all life, the water, the soil, the air, and the animals. Capitalists, imperialists, through their actions, are a disease, a plague on the backs of the working class and the poor, and a serious threat to Mother Earth. We must pluck it from its root. As we analyze the conditions and understand that the U.S. empire and its two political parties' plutocracy is also a disease, not just domestically but globally. We realize that we are on the cusp of full fascism or a true democratic socialist society that allows all to participate. Us, the the masses can decide which way it will go. You, through your action or inaction, will decide that. The ongoing genocide of our Palestinian relatives reminds us of the trauma of our own ancestors who were twice colonized here in our own Tiwa Pueblo lands. It is clear that this empire, with its nearly 500 years of destruction, must be dismantled. It is clear that it feels heavy, like a big feat, but I assure you, the collective work of the masses in active resistance is enough to topple all oppression, for it always has. Our ancestors could have never imagined the lives that we have today and us being in this space together. We have many triumphs. It was many acts of collectivity that brought an end to chattel slavery, Jim Crow law, Indian schools, API encampments, and on and on and on. And although those structures of oppression were, as we knew them then, have found ways to reconstruct themselves, we too have the power to be nimble and move like water. We continue to deconstruct every time these systems of oppression reinvent themselves. The conditions, yes, they may be worsening, but let's be clear, it is not because of any one political candidate. It is because of the legacy of the rotting structure this empire was created from. And when we understand this, we can do our work of resistance and organizing for power. We remember to always lead with love. Work diligently to do no harm and live every day in resistance to the many structures of oppression. We have always saved ourselves, us, the tired, the poor, the people of color, the queer, the differently abled, and the outcasts. For our mere existence is an act of revolutionary love. We have all we need to survive and to thrive, for we exist in abundance. We remember that our work as connectors of generations, we, us, this generation, everybody standing here, has a responsibility as a connector of the children to the elders to continue that path of wisdom and connection. We have an important responsibility to continue these lessons to all of the future generations. We do our work and make decisions with great intention, remembering our impacts on those future generations, as my comrade told us earlier. Each action is with the intention and forethought to move us in inches towards a liberated future. We do this through practice, the practice of creating the pockets of liberation that are filled with love, joy, and community, like this one here today. This practice is critical for us to learn how to build a society that supports us all. We practice first with ourselves, for liberation first must happen within our own bodies, minds, and spirits. We must work to deconstruct the intuitions imposed on us through colonization. We resist selfishness and we replace it with selflessness. We are deep in a society of individualism. We are swimming in it. But when we change our perspective to one of collectiveness, immediately you are able to lead with empathy, and your vision of things being done to you will subside. You are now able to, instead of pass judgment on others, I'm sorry, I lost my place. I'm so sorry. You are able now to, instead of passing judgment onto others, hold that collectiveness and empathy with your own selves. So we also must resist the politics of fear and anger. And let us be clear, this rhetoric is not just from the federal level, but like a contagious virus, we see many local officials exercising this same rhetoric. They too must be held accountable. This is not a calling out, this is a calling in. We must work to protect each other in our families and in our communities. We will work to heal ourselves and with each other along the way. We will continue to be in practice of creating the communities that we all need. We do this by exercising care with each other and trying the many 1 million experiments that Miriam Kaba taught us. This can be a mutual aid project. This can be community dinners. This can be literally anything you can imagine that creates conditions for liberation. So, my parting words are practice, practice, practice. Heal yourself and work to heal your communities, because we will persist. We always have. Please put your fist in the air with me and call out with me the powerful words of our elder, Asanta Shakur, in her words, because they're just as relevant today as they ever have been. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It's our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It's our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
¡Que viva Celinda! Okay, up next we have the chair of the Albuquerque Human Rights Board, Anami Das.
Hey y'all, can you hear me okay? Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm conflicted about being up here today and speaking with the other speakers that are on, or that have spoken and that might speak. I don't know who's up next, but I'm embarrassed to be involved with politics. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we still need more of y'all to be involved with politics too. I got involved like maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. There's a lot of empty positions that y'all should be filling. I say that because I'm nervous about the future. If you're not involved with it, I don't know what direction it's going to go. I saw 5 different groups of prisoners picking up garbage. Last week, as I drove from my house here to my job at the Roundhouse. Because I work there, I can't do anything about that situation. Y'all can. I can when I'm not at work. I can bring it up when I'm here. I'm not going to talk about it in the office. I'm not scared because of the incontinent pedophile that was just elected, that's being inaugurated today. There have been incontinent pedophiles as the president before. I'm sure it'll keep happening. But we need to stop doing that. And that starts with you. With things that are coming up in the next year, I want to make it very clear that I love veterans. My father is a Marine. My grandfather was in the Air Force. And even more clearly, I want to say, do not join the military. You deserve better than what America can do for you. Be wary of anyone who's involved in politics, myself included. As we saw today with the TikTok ban, they're starting to even give up, or they're, excuse me, they're giving up even trying to manufacture our consent. They'll do things against our will as we are screaming, no, stop. So we gotta scream louder. And there need to be more of us screaming. When the people are saying no this or stop that, It means know this and stop that. I don't want to go to war. I do not want my children to go to war. Please stop. Also remember that the war on drugs is a war on people who use drugs. The war on crime is a war on poverty, meaning a war on poor people. Do not vote for people who vote in favor or support or endorse enhancing criminal penalties for anything, ever. Thank you all so much for being here today. Please keep coming.
Thank you so much, Anami. And up next, we have civil rights and consumer protection lawyer, Karen Myers.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for hanging in here.
Thank you.
As you've heard from so many of our speakers so eloquently, we came here today to exercise our rights of free speech and to affirm those rights and send a message that the people will fight to protect them. But maybe you didn't know that over the last decades, we've seen an increase of lawsuits from corporations and powerful people who file them to intimidate and silence the public, people like all of us. In northern New Mexico, a development company sued neighborhood associations that challenged a development project and land use proposals. In Michigan, a gravel pit owner sued a woman because she spoke out against a quarry operation. In Rhode Island, a couple were sued for defamation after publicly raising environmental concerns about a local recycling facility. In New York, John Oliver was sued for his satirical presentation about a CEO of a West Virginia mining corporation. And most recently, our favorite person, Trump, sued a small newspaper for publishing poll results that were unfavorable to him. These legal actions are called SLAPP suits, SLAPP, Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. They're talking about us. The strategy of the person or the company bringing the lawsuit is to intimidate us, to silence us, to stop us from organizing, protesting, speaking out. And they use the legal challenge to suck resources from individuals and community groups and activists who are protesting and seeking redress. So what you end up doing is fighting in court for the right to speak, and you use your time and your resources because you've been sued. Over 34 states have laws providing legal protections against these type of SLAPP suits. In New Mexico, we have a very narrow law, but this session, we're hoping to change that. And that's why I've been asked to tell you about it. We need to broaden protections against SLAPP suits, especially now, and protect our rights not only to communicate and to testify before government entities, but also to exercise the right of freedom of speech and the press on matters of public concern. So there's a bill that will be presented this session, starting Tuesday. It's called the Public Expression Protection Act. It's being sponsored by Representatives Andrea Romero and Representative Eleanor Chavez, who is here, and Senator Pope and Senators Linda Lopez. Yay! Generally, the new law, if adopted, would establish an expedited process to dismiss the lawsuit once it's brought, to basically assert what I or we are doing is protected by free speech and the right to assemble. The bill will serve to minimize the cost and the burden to people like us when we fight these lawsuits. It will protect individuals, journalists, activists, and organizations engaged in public protest and debate, and reinforce our commitment to free speech and democratic participation. This bill is being supported by a broad range of community organizations and civil rights groups. If you want to help, check the legislative website. It doesn't have a number yet, but it'll be there soon. When you find it, Public Expression Protection Act, tell your representatives, tell your senators, tell anyone who is in the legislature that you want their support to pass this bill. Attend hearings, send letters, emails, speak up. We need your support because remember, Public Expression Protection Act is essential to let our voices be heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. And as a reminder, we have to keep up with that bill, the Public Expression Protection Act. Okay, we have 3 more speakers. Thank you all for sticking around. I know it's really cold, and we're going to end with a song. But up next is Indigenous activist and reproductive justice organizer, Nicole Martin.
Yata Shan and Colmartin and Shan Tachini and Shan Kiasani Bushchi, Chiju Dashachen Kiasani Dashanele. Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Martin. I introduce myself in Dinepazad, which is the Navajo language. I am bedwetting into the water born for a parent clan. My Che was Chiricahua Apache and my Nully was Lizard Clan. I just want to uplift and thank everybody for being here. And everybody that spoke before me and the people that will speak and sing after me. I was very honored, always very honored to be in community with my relatives. As Indigenous queer people, as Indigenous women, we know what it's like for this government to want to see you dead, because it happens every day. It happens to the people that you walk by on these streets, especially down here, downtown, all up and down Central, all up in the neighborhoods you don't want to be in, away from the neighborhoods that have fucking HOA. I had the opportunity to go on to a trip to Cuba for medical school. I got to see what public health care looks like under communism. I had professors and teachers at every site visit that I went to. They were so involved with the US politics because what happens here affects them. I had one of my professors say, "I'm grateful for the blockade, because without the blockade, they wouldn't have had to be innovative. They wouldn't have the medicine that they do." I got to go to a dialysis center and see medicine that would have helped my mom from losing both of her limbs. But no, because of this blockade. The U.S. can't trade with Cuba. Cuba doesn't have the medicine and the care that they need. I'm so privileged when I got back to light a joint, to go down to the convenience store when I wanted to know that there was going to be menstrual products, to know that there was going to be infant care. I come back to my homelands to go pick piñons with my family, only to see machines that are extractive in my own homeland. The politics within our communities, especially Pueblo communities, because we were colonized by the Spanish, are very much reflective of their governments. That's not indigenous. I hear men in my community talk about holding the sanctity of all of these things. Yet when the pandemic happened, there was no resources for our people. Our people died. And they're experiencing the effects of what it's like to get COVID multiple times. Ultimately, leading to this day, I've been involved in a lot of different things. I got to speak in front of the Supreme Court, I got to speak at the United Nations, I got to speak in front of all of these people that have some type of power, right? And I was born and raised here. I grew up not wanting to be a statistic, to be taught to be ashamed of who I am. As much as a lot of other people who don't have the courage of the voice. Somehow that courage has been passed on to me and to my relatives to be those matriarchs. People want to talk about democracy. Do you really know where democracy came from? Do you really know where Benjamin Franklin stole it from? From the Haudenosaunee. Everything down from the eagle all the way down. Those symbolisms were stolen from indigenous people. This land, but they can't take our spirit. And we continue to show up for one another. I struggle because I'm the kind of person that's like, I know too much about a lot of things and a lot of people. Some people are just no good. Some people are talk so nice. We are so privileged. I just want us to recognize that. And I want to urge for compassion and for our humanity. We all matter to somebody. I think about, the people who didn't get to wake up today. Think about the people that struggle how and where they're gonna sleep or have a hot meal. I urge y'all to seek out the organizers that are doing the work and not the companies or organizations or the politicians that want your money so they can think that they're doing the work. of us to be a good relative to one another, because life is short. I wish there were more youth here, because I know that they're scared. But I want to, hopefully if they see this, that they know us grassroots organizers are going to be here for you. Some of us will even take the bullet for you. Some of us had to take the bullet for the community. So I hope that these next couple of months, these next couple of years, you really take the time to take care of yourself, to take care of your loved ones. Even those who may have caused you harm, and those that you have caused harm to. Now is not the time to, I say this and I need to work on it, but now's not the time to be all somehow to one another. Divisiveness is not going to get us anywhere. Solidarity, true solidarity. I got you, you got me. But yes, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Nicole Martin, reminding us of the power of our courage, our connections with the global south, like Cuba, and of solidarity. Okay, we have two more speakers, and we're going to close out with the song by Eileen and the In-Betweens. Up next, we have Jewish American activist and organizer with Jewish Voices for Peace, Beth Goldman.
Thank you. Thank you all for still hanging out in the cold. It is cold. The disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in barbarous acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind. These lines come directly from the Declaration for Human Rights adopted by the UN 75 years ago. And yet, here we are on day one of a very tenuous ceasefire agreement in a country that is complicit in genocide on the eve of a Trump inauguration. As every speaker before me has said, we must fight for human rights for all people. I know for a fact there are people up here who said those words and didn't put their power behind them, and we have to demand they follow the word of all of the people for human rights for everyone. That means Palestine.
I'm shivering. I can't hold it.
The right to assemble, universal health care, affordable housing, environmental justice. You're here because you care, and you know our power is in our unity. Our power is pushing back against the propaganda and the lies, against the Zionist propaganda that is trying to intimidate all of us. 33 states, including New Mexico, have already adopted statements equating criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism.
Project Esther, crafted by the authors of Project 2025, is plans to destroy the rights of Palestinian activists in this country, and then eventually all human rights, all rights of all activists, our civil rights, are going to be taken away. That's all of ours. H.R. 9495 gives Trump the ability to label with no evidence any nonprofit as a terrorist supporting organization and to immediately rescind their nonprofit status. Think PBS, NPR, UNRWA USA, World Central Kitchen. The horror of the Holocaust and the horror against the Palestinian people has been made worse because the world has stood by for far too long. We must unite and fight. We must stay vigilant. We must stay loud. The ceasefire is not going to end the genocide in Palestine. I am a Jewish queer woman, and my greatest purpose in life is to live with compassion and to fight for a world where all people live in freedom, equality, and dignity. Our power is in our unity. Demand a full arms embargo. Woo! Demand the rebuilding of Gaza. Stop the annexation of the West Bank. Never again means equality for everyone. Between the river and the sea, and here at home, human rights for all. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth. And I have to say this since I still have the mic. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Okay, for our final speaker, closing us out, she's also a dear friend of mine. I have the honor of introducing Coalition Coordinator with New Mexico No Fault Solutions, Alejandria Lyons.
Tierra o muerte, tierra o muerte, tierra o muerte, tierra o muerte.
If any of you know what that chant is, it means land or death. This was a dicho that was used of those who were part of the Tierra Maria takeover to protect the land grants here in Nuevo Mexico. We have a history of resistance. Many of you have heard of it from our Tiwa relative today, Julia Bernal. The Pueblo resistance continues. 1680. We must continue to fight together. I was asked to speak today by my dear elder friend, Samia Assed. We were together at the very first Women's March in DC, and that is the amount of solidarity that we are gonna need for these next 4 years, these next 8 years, and probably for the rest of our lives. We have to continue to speak against fascism, to speak against this capitalist oligarchy takeover of our nation. This nation was built on stolen land. It is the indigenous and the land-based people who continue to fight for it, and I am asking you all to engage in this fight today. Thank you to each and every one of you who came together today to fight for economic justice, for reproductive rights, for women's rights, for LGBTQ rights, for indigenous rights, the rights of Black women. We have to continue this amount of solidarity if we want to weather this storm. because it will be a storm, and we know exactly what Trump and his crony friends are up to this time. I ask each and every one of you to continue to raise solidarity, mutuality, bring people to these type of events. Do not be afraid. You have community, we have each other. Our coalition, New Mexico No Fall Solutions, was built on the tenets that we have to work together in a multi-generationally, multiculturally to lift each other up. The climate struggle is not just a struggle to save the climate. It is an economic struggle, and it will face every single one of us. And if you have children that you care about and future generations, it will continue to be an issue. So we have to fight like hell these next couple of years to continue to fight for what is ours, to protect our water, to protect our land, to protect our culture. We deserve to live in joy. And I thank every single one of the speakers who spoke today. I want to thank our friends that are helping with language justice here today. And I begin that quote, tierra o muerte, because Chicano organizer Reyes Lopez Tijerina in 1968 worked with Dr. Martin Luther King to bring Chicanos to the Washington, D.C. And we continue the fight for the Poor People's Campaign. It will manifest, and we have to do that work. Like Senator Pope said, there's no one coming to save us. We are the spark that will light the fire that will continue to burn for the next 4 years. So I invite all of you, our coalition member, Youth United for Climate Crisis Action. We're going to be heading to the Roundhouse on Tuesday at 9 a.m. for the opening of the legislative session, talking about climate, talking about this. I encourage you all to support these youth, support the generations for which the shoulders we stand on. And to remember where you come from, remember whose shoulders you stand on, and always give back for what you've been given. Thank you so much. ¡Que vivan las Chicanas!
¡Que viva!
All right, thank you all. We're going to close out with Eileen and the In-Betweens, but before we do, I want to shout out each of the band members. Thank you for letting us use your sound system. Okay, we have Eileen O'Shaughnessy, Lazarus Letcher, Jackie Chacon, and Stephanie Grainer. Thank you so much.
My hands are frozen.
They are. I can feel
All right,
it.
I'd love to hear you all sing along with this one. This is a song, the first part was written by Woody Guthrie. It's called All Eat Crashes. And the second part is a song written by me. It's called People Power. And in that part, we're going to be naming
I'm going to
which
download
communities
it
we
and
will be
send it as an
standing up
MP3
for,
file so you
standing
guys
in
can do whatever you
solidarity,
need to with it.
standing in defense of, for the next 4 years and for the rest of our lives.
Maybe we could all get a picture after. Okay. The ones that are here of us.
Yeah.